Okay, welcome back. So last week we had it was our first week, and we talked about just in general the course. We also talked about HTML, a little bit of CSS, but we then started working on the first assignment, and I shared quite a few files and branches and ideas on how you might go about implementing certain aspects of the assignment. And you're welcome to use any, all of it, or none of it if you prefer. But a lot of what I share with you is straight from the slides that we didn't get a chance to go over in class. But it's a you can follow along with all the commits that I made. I think it pretty much tells a story on how you go about implementing the various types of web pages. And so last week's assignment was mostly focused on creating a static prototype that perhaps we might share with some stakeholders to elicit some requirements and get some feedback from them. We would, I guess we could have done it just using plain paper, but we're still confident enough that we can build something together in HTML. We will come back to the prototype a little later in the course when we get to do React, and we get to do some Angular. And for instance, we implemented a static version of the list of courses. We implemented a static version of the modules and widgets and whatnot. All that will become dynamic, right? As we introduce React, as we introduce Java data models and a database. All that will be read from a database, processed by middle tier, and then provided as a data model for consumption by a React front end. Okay, but that will be a little later. So today this week we'll work on JavaScript and jQuery. It will be our first foray into creating dynamic content. As we talked about last week, there were two major architectural solutions to implementing dynamic content. One was to generate the dynamic content on the server, right? And the second one, more modern, today's solution is mostly to generate that dynamic content on the client, right? For quite a while, for a decade or so, well, still today, many middle tier server side frameworks still are rely on generating dynamic content on the server side, right, where they calculate an HTML string and then provide it to the browser to render, and the browser considers this as a static HTML, even though it was dynamically generated on the server. Today, we still use this technique for pages that are highly performant. Or that need quite a bit of data processing on the server side, but more and more we are using client-side dynamic rendering for where we can manipulate just small pieces of the user interface as opposed to rendering the entire page. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What's the underlying technology underneath, which is JavaScript. Some attempts at introducing some layers of abstraction on top of plain old JavaScript. We'll see the first one is jQuery, and as we progress throughout the semester, we'll add additional layers of abstraction, of which React is yet another layer of abstraction, and when we get to Angular, it'll be a huge layer of abstraction on top of that. So let's focus on JavaScript and jQuery. Any questions?